Hey guys, before we start the video, I just wanted to give a quick announcement about a pretty big Rocket League tournament that was just announced called the Canadian Challenge, sponsored by Pizza Pops and Driving Force. There's a $20,000 prize pool, but it's free to register and play, so it's a pretty big opportunity to all my Canadian friends over the age of 14. The first online qualifiers begin June 16th, and then they're going to fly the winners out for the finals in Toronto at the Scotiabank Theatre on August 19th. If it sounds like something you're interested in, link in the description, and check it out. A recent poll showed that 80% of the Rocket League player base has played soccer at some point in their lives. This is a completely made up fact, but it sounds like something I should say to start this video. The truth is, if you go beyond the obvious surface level connections between the beautiful game and Rocket League, you can actually find some really interesting and helpful points to add to your game. So today, let's take a look at some of those connections to try to learn through comparison from the game that inspired the game. And to try to please everyone, I'm going to call it soccer for the first part of the video, and then I'm going to call it football for the second half of the video. No more complaining in the comments, right? Let's start out with the simple stuff, crosses. Crossing the ball, of course, is common in both soccer and Rocket League. The infield pass only recently became one of the best ways to find the back of the net in Rocket League, but we see it all the time in soccer.
Living by the rule, the best defense is a good offense. Never mind.
Probably my favorite type of pass is the give and go, or 1-2. It's basically consecutive passes between two people. A quick give and go looks great in real life. And likewise, in Rocket League, there's nothing quite as spectacular as this type of team play. The ability to fly through the air, of course, gives Rocket League an extra dimension when it comes to creative team play possibilities. Part of soccer fundamentals is checking two. This simply means running towards your teammate with the ball to give an option to pass to. This certainly presents an interesting thing to think about in Rocket League too, like making sure you're keeping your momentum up and constantly getting open for your teammates when you're off the ball. Now, of course, there's no offside in Rocket League, so cherry picking is a viable strategy.
And a pass down to TOURNY.
The closest thing to this in real-life soccer would be when a player does happen to get behind the defense, which can result in some amazing plays. Another type of pass is the back pass. This, of course, is used all the time in soccer, pretty much anytime a player is in a difficult situation, but I think it's underutilized in Rocket League.
Have you ever seen back pass?
Back passing can really give your teammate a good setup to safely play the ball or have a shot.
Find his teammate, now Panda goes all the way out to Kato.
Finally, we have the best type of pass in soccer, the flick or flick on, or in Rocket League, affectionately named popularized by Subpar but in HD.
I've got to save that replay.
Before, people are always scattering for boost. They want to get ready. Lachinio, though, popping that over, almost just missing that, hitting the top post, but it still has enough.
Badgie, can he get away from Zavala?
Helicopter, Nicholas Fulkrug, who beat Bartstuber in the air right to the death.
But done for CLG. That drop back was beautiful. Timmy again, last man back. Dapper wanting to retreat, just grabbing the center booth.
Now, obviously, there are no flying people, but the Champions Field announcer does refer to aerials as headers, so that's probably the best comparison for these type of plays.
A set piece play. Right into the second, pull the header, yes!
Essentially, the point of any redirect is to change the speed and direction of the ball to throw off the goalie. And this works well in both soccer and Rocket League.
Right to his teammate, right underneath the ball. Neither of these two players are able to make some...
And in Rocket League, catapulting the ball off the top of your car is called a flick. This is basically just dribbling and shooting in soccer, right? Oftentimes, when a goalkeeper is expecting a cross, you can catch them off guard with a near post shot. And in Rocket League, the Doomsy Dish is a great alternative to crossing the ball as well.
Jacob!
And finally, an aspect of shooting in both Rocket League and soccer is shooting back across the goal far post when the goalie's momentum is going the other way. Obviously, this is super effective because it's really hard for the goalkeeper to change their momentum.
I mean, they were both there.
One of the things that appears quite often in both soccer and Rocket League, whether or not defenders like to admit it, are accidental deflections or shots into their own net, known as an own goal. These are both unfortunate and hilarious.
Pesci's never been in the final. And now he's going to accidentally own goal. What is happening, Carter?
And it goes, look at that, touch, oh, and then...
Many strikers would have been proud of that finish there from Bruno Sarr. He couldn't pull his foot out of the way. The ball was gone.
This is just... What a huge misplay here coming from G2. I mean, this defensive error is just the epitome of worry.
Advanced positions to make an impact on a night like tonight. Valenzuela! Oh, it's going to go off of Turner! And into the net!
Illusion with that great first bounce touch, and just take a look here. Oh, he thought he needed to go for that off the bounce.
The ball in the box, cleared just to the edge. And now Legit putting it in! It's an own goal!
Shelvick, Orania using his body to get there. He's got Vela open in the middle. If he's... Oh, it's going to be an own goal!
Let's not forget the own goal that lost Gale Force the DreamHack Championship.
An own goal, if you're kidding. There's 17 seconds, and it went in.
Is that going to be the way that this championship...
Or the opening goal of the 2014 World Cup.
It's an own goal! It's an own goal!
Don't worry, Marcelo. It'll get much worse later.
Nightmare start!
Hey, do you know PSG isn't just a Rocket League team? Most EU players obviously know this, but I wouldn't be surprised if some of my fellow NA players are oblivious to the real PSG. One of the fundamentals of dribbling in football is change of speed, change of direction. This means you shouldn't be constantly at full speed when dribbling. Instead, choosing the right pace for your dribble and when to turn on the jets is pretty important in trying to beat a defender. This exact principle applies to Rocket League because you don't usually want to be holding down your boost obviously when you're dribbling, since that makes it super hard to control the ball when you're flying down the field like that. Going at a medium pace is preferred since it allows you to control the ball and get a good amount of power on your flicks as well. Another important fundamental of football is dribbling into space or taking your space. You really want to get a defender to commit before you get rid of the ball to kind of take him out of the play. Pros in Rocket League are really good at taking their space rather than just clearing to the opponent when there's no pressure. Next, an important part of dribbling is the first touch.
It's a chance to go up one. Omanotis with the chance to score. Poor touch here from Julian Dunn.
And this is very instructive in Rocket League because the first touch will set up your entire dribble.
Poor clear attempt for CLG, and again, Dapper's just
Crossbar in a massive goal for Dapper. And this is where we've seen CLG just keep putting on pressure.
And one of the most exciting parts of Rocket League, the fake, works to great effect in football as well.
Starting to put on the goals. I'll squish you with a fake pass. Why can't he get it past Johnny as well?
Defense in real life football is probably one of the more applicable skills when playing Rocket League. Defenders basically have the choice of challenging or jockeying. Since this defender had so much ground to cover in a challenge, it probably would have been best to jockey. Jockeying is also known as containing. Sometimes it's better to contain rather than to dive in as the last defender. Here we see the sweeper properly wait until the uncertain bounces of the ball are under control and buys time for the rest of the defenders to get back. Diving in as the last defender is a common mistake in Rocket League as well.
It's a challenge. I could go the entire length of the pitch once again, and Miho, he will just tap that.
Jockeying in Rocket League is known as shadow defense. It allows you to challenge at the right time, and it also allows your teammate to get back. Of course, there's some major differences between the games that we can't ignore. For instance, there aren't any demolitions in real life, right? And Rocket League is played on an enclosed field, so wall passes are a common strategy, which you definitely wouldn't see in real life football. So even though pros at the highest level have some incredibly close ball control, we're still not really at the point where we can possess the ball quite like a real life soccer player. But that level of control is definitely a future possibility. Another possibility is a play called the dummy, which might be an interesting tactic in Rocket League. The dummy in football is letting the ball pass you on purpose, sometimes right through your legs. Here we see an accidental dummy as the first attacker whiffs. It ends up completely freezing up the defense. Plays like this make me think we could possibly be seeing more intentional and more advanced fakes in the future development of competitive Rocket League. I guess I kind of use dummies all the time actually. but just not on purpose. So thanks for coming with me on this journey. These videos take quite a bit of time to collect clips and edit and produce, so a like or subscription is hugely appreciated. Thanks so much for your support, and of course, good luck out there.